These are some Dinar Guru updates, starting off with Yada. I pay very little attention to those who are looking for the release of the RI without understanding where we are in the process. In the scheme of things and the way money moves around the globe, Iraq really is on the verge of releasing internationally their currency. Too much has transpired not to see the release, and this is something that can't be pulled back. The whole world is affected by this release, and they are prepared to receive it. Mark Z via PDK, the governor of the central bank, presents to Parliament a plan to adjust the dollar exchange rate, unquote. Mark Z says there's a tremendous amount of back and forth going on. This is a yo-yo, the same yo-yo we saw in Kuwait. This is the same yo-yo we saw in China before their revaluation in the late 90s. This is the same yo-yo we saw from Germany after World War II. I thought the roller coaster was interesting before this, but over the last 2 to 3 days, this yo-yo is strong. Like Nader says, the fundamentals are strong, things are solid, and they will keep playing this game with us and the whole world until they pull the trigger. Frank 26 article, quote, the U.S. Federal Reserve will meet tomorrow regarding the dollar in Iraq, unquote. Frank says this is a very big meeting. Quote, the U.S. Federal Bank will hold a meeting on Tuesday, which it will study Iraq's proposals to curb the dollar's rise. And that post was from the January 31st. Pimpy says it's starting to look like Iraq, along with several other countries, are in a serious currency crisis. Mark Z via PDK, still hearing from the banking side that there are great expectations for the next 24 hours. Most of the chatter out there is they are still squarely looking at overnight to night and into the morning. All right, Claire article, quote, the U.S. Federal Reserve will meet tomorrow regarding the dollar in Iraq. Quote, the U.S. Federal Bank will hold a meeting on Tuesday, which it will study Iraq's proposals to curb the dollar's rise. Militiaman, the uproar has been about the exchange rate. The exchange rate is an official capacity at 1460. The street rate is about 1600. That may sound like a bad thing, but it may not, because what it's doing is it's going to apply more pressure for the central bank to take action. I believe they are taking action. Frank 26 Firefly, we see on television news another delegation from Iraq banks is being told to go to the USA. This will be the third group that goes there and meets again with the feds on why large amounts of dollars is being smuggled to private bank accounts inside of Iraq. All right, Mountain Goat, wow, so much news once again about the dinar, and today we are hearing many surprises. The CBI is going to allow any currency to be accepted by the banks in addition to dinar and US dollars, but also to pay for imports and the bills of merchants with other currencies besides dinar, but including dinar. Folks, we have been waiting a long time to hear such good news. We are going to get the reinstatement very shortly now. Just hang a bit tighter. Mark Z via PDK, Iraq is seeking full membership in the International Financial Action Organization, unquote. Mark Z says, I think this one is important because they cannot get full membership without a meaningful currency change, according to most experts, and I agree with them. Sandy Ingram says, I remind you once again, you will only need to travel to exchange your IQD if Iraq prints new money. All right, Breitling says, if someone came off the streets and said you talk about authority, where do you get the information to get imperial data? Where do you get the information to make a decision on? And where does that fit with Iraq? Very simple. The Ministry of Planning, the Ministry of Finance, Iraq Central Bank, everything I've come up with has come from those guys. On what they want to do with their currency, they said they want to add value to it, and that's it. You don't need anybody else. You don't need me. You don't need other news articles. You need only the opinions from people who actually manage the currency and the people who pass laws that give people who manage the currency authority. That's it. Where does my confidence come from? It comes from that. It comes from the very top, and if they get it wrong, there is nothing we can do about it. I don't have any opinions outside of that. All right, Mark Z via PDK Al-Sudani says he's going to put the dollar back to the true real value of $3.48. 1 dinar equals $3.48 USD. When he says something, he gets it done. He will not take his eyes off the target, and his target is to restore Iraq to its former glory and to move forward to be a key player on the world stage. This is coming from Nader and local sources in Iraq. The progress Iraq has gotten done under Sudani's leadership is immense. I told you all watch the news was a yo-yo, and lots of articles throwing out all sorts of rates, but watch the hands playing the yo-yo. The Sudani's hands. Sudani is saying he wants a return to value of $3.48, and this news is awesome. I still can't believe we will see it extremely soon, but if we don't see it tonight, I certainly won't be jumping off a bridge, especially with Sudani's comments in Iraq's local markets today. All right, Frank26 says the meeting that is happening in Washington right now, it is a very big, significant meeting. D.C. is receiving the instructions of what the Central Bank of Iraq is about to do with the exchange rate of the Iraqi dinar against the dollar. They are positioning it, preparing it to float internationally. And Mark Z via PDK says, remember, Warren Buffett invested in this. Donald Trump has invested in this. Warren Buffett said years ago that the dinar is a great long-term investment when he purchased this. Many politicians have invested in this. If it were a scam, it is one that will take a couple 100 million people by surprise, including some of the smartest people in the world.